Freedom. Today we're speaking freedom. Freedom has many paths, right? Everybody chooses their own, and it's so relative because freedom means so many things to different people. You could be free from drugs, or maybe you could hide from drugs and find that freedom. You could be on the street and be free to just be yourself and just live off the streets and sleep behind a bush because that's what you love. Or you could be free because you find a place, you find your meaning, and you find your purpose. Who knows what freedom is? It's different things for different people. For me, I found freedom within my jail in detention by just visualizing and writing and doing things, and then found freedom when I got out and chose different paths. So what does freedom mean to you? Hello, Carina. In Breakfree, find freedom. And of course, awesome Dino Miliotis. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. For those people who don't know and follow us on a regular basis, Carina was in jail, not because she did anything wrong. She was in jail because she overstayed her visa, which is in her book. So I was just laughing when you were doing the intro. I'm just like, and I found my freedom when I was in prison. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to watch this segment for sure. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
How's your week been?
It's been very, very busy. Busy by choice. I mean, I like I said in other things, I could speed it up or turn it down anytime I want, but right now I'm on a roll and I'm just enjoying it. So it's just all kinds of things at all hours of the day and night for all the multiple things I'm doing, but it's fun. So how was my week? Great.
And you found freedom?
I found freedom and continue to do so. So, yeah, I mean, freedom, that's a pretty good subject. Break fear, find freedom. Freedom means a lot of things. Freedom, financial freedom. It could be freedom from, external influences, freedom from substance use, freedom from a bad marriage or a bad relationship. It could be a lot of things. And, it's not always, when you find freedom, it's not like, oh, I have freedom, so now the rest of my life I live happily ever after.
No.
I mean, there's different kinds of freedoms, and at different times in your life, it's going to feel different to you, or one type of freedom is going to be more important to you, right? Freedom for me recently has nothing to do with business. Is I found a home, and I call it a home, not a house, that feels so extremely comfortable. I found myself for the first time in 30 years, believe it or not, people. And you know what? It flows. It's nice. It's comfortable. It's not large. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I can care less. But that to me is freedom. When I can actually hang pieces of art in my own home, I feel comfortable there, right?
Yes,
there are many homes that I've lived in for many years that I didn't hang one piece of art, not one picture, because it wasn't mine. It didn't feel right. So all of those things encompass freedom. Hopefully that's what you're getting at. Curveball today or anything like that.
I think probably freedom is for me is that finding yourself, and then you're free wherever you go, right?
Yeah.
And again, you can be free in your prison.
Yeah.
But now, like you found freedom within your home, which is awesome. Because a lot of times, for me as well, it's just a place to stay. It's not a home. Right. So if you find a home, that's already a big freedom.
It's huge. It's a huge weight lifted. It's just a mental thing, It's like your home. In my head has always been like a place where you can hang your hat, you can relax, you can be yourself. Not that I'm different off the air or anything like that, but where you feel safe. That's what I equate a home to, you know. Now for other people, they'll look at it as an investment. And you know what? That's fine. But everybody has that little place, even either in their mind or physically, that is their freedom.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think it's very therapeutic to go there once in a while.
Yes.
I posted something this morning, which was basically talking about daydreaming, you know, where I still do it. I still do it. And it hasn't really changed from a very young age. But I like to daydream because, number one, those dreams are in color, not black and white, like they say when you dream.
Right.
But also, it just kind of gives you that, I don't know, that magical thing. Like it becomes real. It becomes real in my head. So real that you can almost taste it. And so I posted a beautiful picture. I didn't do it. I mean, I found it from a bunch of my friends, and I always tell them, hey, I'm borrowing this. But it's a beautiful church along this grassy meadow, and the ivy is, you know, grown on the steeple of the church, and it's all covered. But that actually is a church in Scotland.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, I mean, you look at it and you look at the colors and they're all vivid and they're just so bright and whatever. And you fail to understand that's a real place. That's a real place.
Yes.
But I guess what I was saying with that is that that's how bright and vivid our daydreams should be, right? About something we want or aspire to be or something like that. And everybody has these daydreams, guilty as charged, where, you know, you're the cool guy. You'll even see jokes about this. You're the cool guy that goes in a bar and everybody stops and turns and looks. And then all of a sudden somebody bumps your shoulder and you're like, hey, and all of a sudden you know this kung fu and you win the girl. You know, that's like, oh, I wish I could do that.
That is such a cool daydream.
It's a silly daydream, but, you know, you see it a lot in these comedy skits, and I think it's funny. But, you know, I mean, as funny as that is, everybody has that hero moment in their mind.
Yes,
that
yes.
They would, you know, God, I wish, you know, I could do this, or I wish I could be the cool kid that drives up in this great looking car when I'm in high school and everybody just stops what they're doing and they just look, you know. These are funny things, but they mean a lot. They mean a lot. It's what we're aspiring to be.
Yes,
Usually it's because we want to be widely accepted. We want to be liked, of course, popular. You know, and you always want to feel like the hero in this daydream or this play that you're reenacting in your head. What if it didn't have to just be a daydream? What if it could be a reality, is I guess what I'm saying. And so that's something that we could talk about, which is really important.
It is. Now, I'd like to just go back, back and tell you how this is really a reality. And I'm sure, and you know, we've already spoken about this already, how many times you've created things in your head and you've made them reality. When I was in detention, I'd walk around the yard. You'd get like an hour, 2 hours or whatever a day or whatever, and you'd just walk and walk. I'd walk and walk and walk. And during that time, I'd always visualize, I'd be always sitting on the beach in PB, right, or Carlsbad, or wherever it was, doesn't matter. I was sitting on the beach and just watching the beach. And that was just my happy place. And every day, and when I did come out, I mean, okay, you can do that, but it's just like there's no coincidence. When I got out a few days later, I was sitting on the beach in the exact same, and I was experiencing exactly what I had visualized inside detention. And so it's so powerful. And like I said, I could just have done it anyway, but it's just that, and there's no coincidence, right? And I know we've spoken to it about it very often with you, that you've had these ideas and you've had these visualizations and you've seen them in your head and then you've just created it. So it's possible, right?
Yeah, it is possible, but more so than the ideas in your head. and making them reality. I'm talking about something maybe a little bit different. I'm talking about, like visualizing or daydreaming about a better life, right? If I could clearly remember that if I had a miserable day, or when I had all these anxieties as a kid about, what if I die? What if I don't go to heaven? Stuff that you carry with you.
Yes,
I always remember daydreaming. I wouldn't daydream about stuff per se. What I would daydream is about a better life. Now, I didn't equate life to always riches, but I knew that, there's some people that had great cars, and I'd see other people that didn't. I'd see some people dressed really nice and others that weren't. At that age, you can't really distinguish. You don't really understand what you're looking at, but you do understand that I want this, not this.
Yes,
right?
yes.
The larger house, the larger yard, or, the better vacation, whatever it is, And it's not bad to talk about these things. It's not envious. It's just, for me, it was aspire to be like.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Which is very different from envy. And envy comes with all sorts of baggage in its own circumstances. And usually it ends up being negative. You don't want that.
No.
You don't want that.
No.
But you want to be, aspire to be like, means if they could do it, I can one day do it. That's a more positive way to look at it.
Yes.
But I remember I would go to my bedroom and I'd lay down in my bed, and, my eyes were open, but I would just like zone out of staring at the top of the bunk bed, because my brother and I had bunk beds. And I would just like zone out, and it would just become this story in my head of, me opening the door to a big house and people clapping, or me having this big car, or, taking my family on a vacation. And I think mentally, if you really think about this, again, and you go into it, you'll understand that what you're doing is number one, you're calming yourself down.
Yes.
But that's a side effect. But what you're doing is you're programming yourself to accept the fact that you can do it. Let's face it, that's the bottom line. You accept the fact that you can do it. And there's been many times in my life where things are happening, right? Things are happening. And you stop yourself for a moment and you're like, is this really happening? Is this check real? Because you just don't believe it. But then you always revert in your head that, I've conditioned myself for such a long time to be able to accept these things as fact.
Yes.
So instead of saying, you could be humble, right? But instead of saying, well, I don't deserve this, you find yourself saying more and more that, yeah, I do deserve this. And I deserve every stinking thing life has to offer me, which may be a different circumstance or a different set of offerings for somebody else.
Yes, of course.
I'm not here to live somebody else's life. They're not here to live mine. But I'm just saying that daydreams are a very powerful tool. And it'd be interesting to ask an adult if they daydream. And if somebody said no, I'd have a hard time believing that one. It's fun to daydream.
It is fun, but also a lot of times when you're growing up, is say, stop daydreaming. Come on, you're an adult now. Stop daydreaming. Get into reality now. That's not the way life is. And a lot of times you have that kind of thing from outside forces. So you have to fight against that. And you also have to, but it's difficult because if your parents say it or your teachers or whoever says it, they've got authority, right, when you're younger.
Yeah.
So you've got to fight through those conditionings as well, which is interesting.
Well, Carina, there's a big problem there if you're daydreaming in public in front of people,
No.
and they catch you just kind of staring up, yeah, that would be a problem. But I never vocalized my daydreams to anyone, and I don't know why I never did, but I never talked to anybody about these daydreams. It was just something I did. It could be 5 minutes. It could be an hour. I don't know. I'm going back now and I'm thinking. And but when I was done, I never went and said, "Hey, you know what? You know what I dreamed about? I got a daydream about."
No.
It was personal. It was very private. And so nobody would tell me stop daydreaming because nobody knew what the hell I was doing. Right? Did you vocalize your daydreams?
No. It's about the life you're living, right? I've always been a bit different, right? And I've never wanted to go the same path as everyone else did. Like, I'd get bored working for someone, for example. Who wants to do that? I'd want to do my own thing, doing whatever. So a lot of times you'd get like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why don't you just find a job and work like everybody else? Why are you doing these other things? Stop dreaming. Stop doing that. So it's no, I would never tell anybody my dreams. That's a personal thing.
Yeah, of course, it's a personal thing. But stop doing that. Be like us. Have a normal job. Have a steady job. Again, carrying over from last week's conversation about what an entrepreneur is.
Yes.
Different than the normal, what we call normal now anyway, 9-to-5er, right? Which is not a bad thing. I mean, if you love what you do, 9-to-5, wow. I mean, I wish I did when I was working 9-to-5 jobs, but no job for me was ever 9-to-5, even if it was a 9-to-5 job. You always found something to do or something to make it better or whatever. I mean, that's just us. It's just a crazy world. But, when somebody tells you, hey, what are you doing? You have belief and you have faith and you have the idea in your head that there's something better for you out there. And instead of just landing in a job, which is for you going to be maybe distracting or setting you down the road, the wrong path, you're sacrificing, all right? And let's call it for what it is, sacrificing.
Yeah, it's true.
Not everything you jump into, not every venture that you jump into is going to reap rewards or financial freedom.
No, definitely
so you're stuck with this burning belief and desire that this can happen, and the burning reality that, oh my God, I have bills to pay, and what the hell am I going to do, right?
Yes.
And when the utilities start getting shut off, and you get these past due letters, and you're getting phone calls from all strange people from collections, and you don't want to answer. Yeah, I mean, if a friend or a family member was around, they and it happened to me too. Why don't you get yourself a steady job? And stop this nonsense. Exactly. Stop this nonsense because, you have to, pay some bills. I can relate to what you're saying because I had such strong convictions at a certain time in my life. 1993, man, memory right there, that I was having those utilities shut off, and I was having bills to pay and past due and collection notices, and you could play it off a little bit to your family and friends and pretend it was the wrong number or you already took care of this or that. But reality does set in when they actually start turning off the lights.
Right.
Okay. And I believe so much that I was so close to something that I could taste it, touch it. Again, the daydreaming part, that I didn't want to go back working for somebody else.
Right.
I refused to. And so what I did is I started becoming resourceful. Some of it is just, insane. Some of it makes sense. But, I, number one, assessed everything that was in our garage or everything that we had that we didn't really use much. And what I did is, without telling anybody, I just decided to have a garage sale. And I took these things and put them outside. And you want to talk about a salesman. I was out there. Oh, you like this end table? We have a couch to go with it. You got to have the set. I did pretty good. I mean, I did the best I could, right? But there was also another thing that I did, which, and my parents never knew this, but, again, I talk a lot about the close Greek community, and all because of the adults and, my dad's friends, personal family friends. And I actually made a hit list of maybe 10 or 12 of them that I called up basically to borrow money. Don't tell my father.
Yes.
And, some of them said, no, okay, I get it. Some of them, it was $100. Some was 500. There were a couple that paid me 3,000. I paid them all back. It took a while, but I did those things as well.
Yes.
And so I guess the question is this. I mean, to find your own freedom, can you taste it as if it were real, like mine? Okay. And that's a good way to present this, right? I mean, I know we started off with freedom, but you're now asking somebody that this is a part of my life that's so real and so true. I mean, it's vivid. It's still vivid. Again, everything we do, I got to believe I'm not the only one that feels this way or has done these things. It'd be interesting if somebody else who's viewing this has done or felt the same way. For me, it was so strong of a belief. And as a matter of fact, in 1993, was the last time I worked for somebody. It's also the last time I wore a tie. I know it sounds silly, but it's the last time I wore a tie. I just refused to wear one because I don't have to. Because
yes. It's very constricting.
I'll wear a suit, I'll wear a shirt, I'll wear a collared shirt or whatever, but I don't want to wear a tie. One, it bothers me. Two, it's a sign, at least to me, that I'm working for somebody else and the job requires a suit and tie to show up at work every day. It's just stupid things in your head that you.
Yes.
But for me, my vision was so clear, so vivid, so powerful, so strong that I was willing to sacrifice things in order to pursue that vision. There's a lot of people that unfortunately can't say that. I mean, I get it. You have to work. You have to put food on the table. But when somebody says, follow your dreams or find your freedom, how much are you willing to sacrifice to do just that?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I didn't steal a car. I didn't rob a bank or anything like that. But I understood that, hey, in an entire house of furniture, maybe I won't sit on a chair if I could get $100 for the chair. And right now it'll keep me going. I mean, you don't think so much about, well, this is just a temporary Band-Aid. You just think about, I need to survive.
Yes.
Until this stuff starts kicking in high gear. And you become very, very resourceful. So true story, 1993. And that was a very, very vivid time for me when I believed in my freedom, my specific freedom, which was financial freedom, so strongly that I did what I had to do to continue down that path.
So what I'm hearing as well is the resourcefulness. So that's a big thing. A lot of people don't find resourcefulness. That of course, when you're in that prison where you don't know where to turn, the thing that you actually had the mindset or to have that resourcefulness, that's already a big thing. And I think resourcefulness is something that you should be thinking about all the time. Just become resourceful. Think about it in your head and see, because a lot of times you don't see things, right? Because you don't think resourceful. You think resources. Like, I don't have the resources, but if you think resourceful, like you know what, I don't use the stuff, why can't I just sell it?
Yeah, in today's age, the younger viewers and the people on the social platforms, what you just said, they'll equate into hustle. Being resourceful.
Maybe.
Resourceful has a connotation to a lot of people, unfortunately, nowadays, that's like clever, like slick, and I know what you're saying is not true. It's totally innocent. And, it's totally genuine. But for a lot of the people that hear that word now, that's how they think. They think like, maybe I could pull a scam and, maybe I could do this. I mean, we're not talking about.
No, that's not what I was saying. Yes.
No,
yes.
We're not talking about that. Resourceful means to be, look, the biggest pressure taken off somebody's back is when they actually come to terms with the fact that they're broke. Okay.
Admit it, yes.
People say they're broke and they're not. A lot of people say they're broke and they are, but more people that I know, including myself, when we were broke, would never admit it. It was just a glitch. It was a headache. Oh, I wired that money. I don't know why it got there. I'm waiting for a check. I just don't understand why it's still not here. It was just so hard, so damn hard for me to just say, look, I'm broke. I can't, I can't spend the money. I can't go out. I can't buy this. It would have been such a huge pressure taken off my back if I came to terms with that fact right away. And I think I would have gotten a lot more support and a lot more help. Yes. But to have that freedom of an unencumbered mind, like, what is this person going to think of me? Well, what am I going to say? I mean, how do I invite people over? These people are making plans to do something over the weekend. I can't go. If I go, everything's going to bounce.
Yes.
It's happened. It's happened.
Yes.
You ever go to a weekend resort, a trip to a weekend resort with your wife and family, and then while you're there, your credit card is declined, and you have to play it off.
Yes.
Like, there's some problem with the credit card. Does anybody else have a credit card I can use and I'll pay you back? Done that too.
Yes, I've done that too.
Very embarrassing. But it's amazing how people play that off, right? Instead of just saying, look, I can't go. I wish I could go. I can't afford it. If you want me to go so badly and you can lend me the money. I wasn't one of those people that said, oh, I can't take money from you. Oh, no, I take it. Okay, trust me. If you have somebody offering you help, take it. But that was just me. But yeah, I've been stuck many times in places that were excruciatingly uncomfortable, when all the time I could have just fessed up and it would have been a lot easier for me. But back to resourceful. Resourceful is just, what do I have and what are the things that I could do that are closest to generating some money?
Yes.
And if that means, like for me, instead of supporting that gold Rolex that I was carrying around from the days of yesteryear with after Bug Ban and bankruptcy, I had to come to terms with the fact that, it's just a watch. I can get another one. And although it's embarrassing and frustrating that I have to give it up, I need the money. And I know they're going to pay me like nothing compared to what I know I paid for that watch, but it's better than not having any money at all. So you do the things that you have to do in order to survive.
Yes.
Because you're a survivor.
Yes,
Right?
yes, yes, yes.
Now I could have easily went, and some people, it works for them, but I could have easily applied and said, try and get a loan for this or that, or all the government programs that are out there. For me, it was fleeting because I didn't have good credit. And because I worked for myself, I really didn't have pay stubs to generate to justify getting a loan. So I was pretty much, I couldn't go down that road.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the best I could do, but resourceful, means to be able to survive, but do things legitimate and, don't rob a bank or anything like that.
No, I just want to go back to just as a comment that, when you broke and you don't want to, because of course it's an embarrassment and people look down on you, which you think they do, but you're looking down on yourself. And
Right.
A lot of times when you get those calls and eventually you ignore the calls, when you answer those calls and you're actually honest, you can find a way to figure it out, right? So if you just say, okay, I'm broke, this is the story, but let me just fess up, like you say, and admit to myself and to everyone, hey, this is the story. Let's find a solution. And it's much easier and it's less stressful as well.
It is. Some bill collectors are just horrible. They'll yell at you, they'll make you feel lower than you already feel like. And I got a lot of those too, but never really cared to work with them at the time, because when you have no income coming in, you don't know what you're going to make from day to day.
Yeah, it's difficult, right? Yeah.
And so therefore it's also difficult to promise a repayment thing. It's kind of a false promise. Yeah, I'll pay back $50 a month, even though you probably
you can't do it.
You can't do it. When it really kicked in for me that credit was important was the first house that I bought. And the loan was contingent upon getting rid of a bunch of old debt. So here comes the past, coming back to me. And you want to talk about resourceful. All of a sudden, all my creditors were extremely important to me because I wanted that house. Okay?
Right.
So you better believe I picked up the phone and I made peace offerings with every single one of them. And they were only too happy to talk to me.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah, I do agree that, when you're able to commit to some kind of repayment schedule, it's a good thing. And for some people, bankruptcy is a good thing, because if you want to start fresh, I'm not telling everybody to run up a bunch of bills and file for bankruptcy, but if that's your only alternative, like for me, it was the worst pride swallowing event that I had to do. File bankruptcy. It was the worst. You feel so bad already. You feel less than zero, not zero. And you really don't want, nobody walks around and says, hey, I just filed for bankruptcy. You know what I mean? Look at me. You just want to hide under a rock. But if that's what you have to do to get relief, then you do it. That's resourceful. Look, everybody chases their freedom, whatever that is, right? And sometimes freedom is just being able to say, today I just want to kind of sit home and be left alone. Today I don't want to respond to every single phone call because I just need to recharge, or I want to watch a movie without the phone ringing 24/7 or something. That's freedom, right?
Yes.
For other people, freedom is settling down and having a beautiful family, or pursuing your dreams. unencumbered by what people think or what they're going to say or, whatever. So it's different for everybody.
Yes, yes.
Entrepreneurs, again, your show really focuses on entrepreneurs finding freedom. And finding freedom as an entrepreneur, I'd say, is being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it.
Yes, yes.
Whether it's successful or not, just to say you tried is the ultimate freedom, right?
Right.
As long as you tried. So you could put that to rest. There's peace of mind saying that you've tried this. Maybe other people will be successful at it, but at least you know that you gave it a try. That's freedom. That's the ultimate entrepreneurial freedom that I can think of.
Yes, yes, yes. I agree with you. I was thinking about it this week, how, I just do whatever I want to do, right? So if I want to go to the beach, I pack my backpack and I go to the beach. And or if I want to go and work in the morning at a coffee shop, I do that, or whatever it is I want to do. And I think that's freedom as well, to just do whatever you want to do at whatever point, So it's very much what you were saying. And also, if you want to do something, give it your best shot. So try it, give it your best shot, see how far it goes. And if, it might blow up and be hugely successful. And if it isn't, oh, well, you learn, pivot and start again or do something
different. If it isn't, and you close that chapter and you move on. But, if you're going to try something, do it 100%. Don't do it like, well, let me just try and let me get my toe wet in the water and just see how it goes. You got to immerse yourself in stuff.
Right.
So when we were talking in the beginning of this show, we were talking about vivid daydreams.
Yes.
These aren't like dull daydreams, okay? They weren't in like this black and white kind of
no
brownish color. They're vivid, technicolor kind of colors, okay? And that means that there's only one way to achieve them or keep following those things. It's just bright, 100% passionate, effort. And if you can't do that, don't even try. My advice. I don't want to be Debbie Downer today. It's just say, don't try stuff. Try anything. Try anything you want to do, but give it 100% or don't.
Yes, yes. So it's not really about trying, right? It's about just going and doing it. Because a lot of people say they're trying, but trying means, well, hey, if you're trying, you're not in 100% because you're trying it, right?
Well, from my experience, people will say, well, I tried getting a hold of this person, but I left a message. Try and get a hold of a person. To them may mean one phone call a day.
Yes.
Trying for me is probably a little bit different. Okay. Number one, I already know your patterns. So I already know when you're going to be available and not. And number two, I'm going to try more than once. Trust me. Okay. But that's my idea of trying. So you got to be careful on how people explain themselves. Again, we started off saying, you're rarely going to admit that you're in financial ruin or you're having problems to anybody else. You're rarely going to admit that you're a failure. I take that back, but you know what I mean. The opportunity that you're pursuing is failing. You're rarely going to admit that to other people. So if somebody's just going to try and, trying means like making one phone call and just waiting. People get busy, people forget. There's text messages that I have that I'm like, oh, wow, I haven't looked at that one and that's a week old. Very rare, but, you should see how many texts I get these days. But, you have to answer them all. Look, I wanted this. I wanted this to happen. So for other people, this is extremely nerve-wracking. This is extremely, how do you do it? How can you answer all these people? How do you know this and that? Because that's what I wanted. I asked for this and I'm embracing it 100%. And there'll be times that I'll get tired and there'll be times where I'll have to use the word no. there are times where I just, need to step away and just detox or debrief or whatever. But this is what I wanted.
Yes.
So if somebody wants to pursue their freedom and their idea of try is just making one freaking phone call a day, that's not really try.
Yes.
Again,
yes.
you have to taste your dreams to achieve your freedom. You can't just hope or try. You gotta want it.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And hope is also like, I can hope. So I can hope to do something and sit and watch TV, right? Or I can hope and do something and sleep.
Yeah.
So
sleep. Sleep, what's that? It's all good, Carina. No, look, I hope somebody learned something today, because whatever we said, I don't know. But we went off on a tangent. But again, I mean, dream big, meaning daydreams, not regular dreams. You can't control what you dream when you're asleep, but you can control your dreams when you're awake, and your dreams are in color. And whatever you do it 100%. And whatever freedom there is, what it means to you, taste it. I mean, just that's how strongly you have to believe in what you're doing.
Yes, yes.
And I think people forget that. People forget how vivid dreams are. When you smell colors, it's a weird thing. People are like, "You smell colors?" I'm like, "Yeah, it smells like purple in here." that's but this is kind of like the wild technicolor dreaming that you do sometimes. I can't be the only one out there that smells purple. It'd be interesting. Write your comments on who else smells colors.
Smells colors.
Yeah, there's a name for it, something, but I forget. But I'm not the only one who smells them. Am I? Yeah.
I don't know. I love that. I love that. So that was good. So, you find freedom is a relative term. It's relative to you and to what you want or what you believe.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
You're welcome. This was a good show. This was a good show. Last week was a good show. And just to let you know, we've had a lot of comments from people who are entrepreneurs that it obviously resonated with. And, I'm glad to see that, because again, our whole thing on the show is if it could touch somebody else, if it's relatable, you got to believe we're not the only two people just talking about certain things, subject matter or whatever. And it's great to see the response.
Yes, yes.
I love it. So yes. I'm sure you've got a handle on all those responses, which is great. But this is Break Freedom, Break Fear from Freedom, because we talked about freedom. And I enjoyed doing this with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dino. I always love these shows. Yep, and they go wherever they are. So thank you, everyone. This was very cool. And we'll see you next week. And Break Fear, Find Freedom, Carina and Dino. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.